Hi everyone, welcome to Focal Point. We were working on this example. So now what I've done in here, I have not initialized this variable, okay. So I have defined it but not initialized, okay. So when we are trying to print this, the definition of this integer a is available in the local function d, and that's why it will not go inside the static area. So what will be the value printed in here? So I'm going to tell you that the default value of local variables, default value of a local variable is a garbage value, okay. This value can be any value, and the default value of local static variable and the global variable is 0, okay. So let's see what will be the output of it. So output of this code will be a garbage value because this is a local variable, and so you can see that this is a garbage value, okay. So we have defined it in here, and if we have initialized this value like 40, then 40 will be printed. If this is not if the definition of this is not given, then it will go and check inside the static area, okay. So now I have initialized it so that 40 is printed. If I have not initialized it, if the definition of it not given, then our local static variable or the global variable will be printed, okay. So answer is 5. If the definition is given but it is not initialized, and that's why it will print the garbage value, okay. And the default value of this local static variable is 0, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define it as a static integer a, okay. So this variable will not be defined in here now because this is a static variable, but it will, a dedicated memory will be allocated inside the static area. This is a static integer a, okay. So static variables are also defined inside this static area, okay, but a dedicated memory will be allocated for this function d, and there this integer a will be defined. We have not given the value of it, so if we just initialize this variable with this, let's say 80, so now this 80 will be printed in here because it will go and check inside the static area because variable is not defined in here, and a dedicated memory is allocated for this static area in the static area for this d, for this local static variable a, okay. And then this 80 will be printed in here because this is accessing this 80, okay. So what happen if we don't initialize this? So what will be the value printed? So I've already told you that the default value of this local static variable is 0, okay. So if we have not initialized it, so the value printed will be as value 0. So let's see what will be printed in here. So we have run the code, check it, and you can see that the default value of this local static variable is 0, okay. So same like this, if our variable is not defined in here, okay. So this variable is not defined in here, and we have not, if we don't initialize our global variable, okay. So now what will be printed? So this initialization is not there, so I've already told you that the global variable has the default value of 0, and that's why. So let's see what will be happening in here. We are trying to print this a, but a is not defined in here, so it will go and check inside this static area, but we have found this variable a inside this, but this is not initialized, there is no value. So what will be value that is printed in here? That will be 0 because the default value of global variable and the local static variable is 0, okay. So you have get it that the default value of this local variable is garbage value, and local static variable, the global variable is 0, and the local static variable and the global variable are stored inside this static area, but for the local static variable a dedicated memory will be allocated. Okay, so only that uh, function can access that value. Okay, no other function will be allowed to access that value. Okay, suppose this is allocated for d, so this a will be accessed only by this d function. Okay, so no other function will be allowed to access this memory location. Okay, and this stack area is a temporary location. Okay, so when this function is popped out from the memory, so all information is gone, but this static area and this local variable and the local static variable will remain in the memory till the program execution. Okay, so updated value will be accessed. So this is the concept of static scoping in the local variable, local static variable, and the global variables. Okay, so you have get it, what is the default value, what value will be printed if some variable is not initialized. Okay, so this is the concept of static scoping, and the dynamic scoping will not be used by the most of the programming language because of the security concern. Okay, we are not allowed to access the local variables of some another function, so this is a security breach of the local variables, and that's why dynamic scoping is not being used by the most of the programming languages. Okay, so we will see some more examples based on the concept of static scoping. Okay, so thank you so much.